All right,
Yeah,
we live.
amazing reactions.
Very, very amazing. Okay, so we will be talking about two things: the TG stuff and the ramifications of the Dominion changes.
Yep. Oh, I need to mute the stream. I'm hearing myself back. Hello, everybody. How are we all doing? Welcome back to the dojo. It's been a while since we've done one of these because there's been a bit of time when there hasn't been a huge amount going on. We're all a bit tired after the Dominion series, and also Elden Ring came out, and I got COVID. So there's been a whole bunch of things causing us not to do, but we're back now for a bit at least. And we're going to talk about, as Natalia said, the testing ground changes for those two characters which are on screen now, Shaolin and Conqueror. And we're going to talk a little bit about how the Dominion changes that have come through in the beginning of this year 6 have affected top level play. Or will that might be a little bit more hypothetical than or theoretical than in practice, because neither myself nor Nutella are comp players, but we know a little bit. We've talked a little bit to them, to some of them, and it's not changed too much, so it's nothing drastic anyway. So let's start off with the testing ground stuff. So as you probably know, the testing ground has been active since last Thursday, which was the 31st. It's going on until I guess middle of this Thursday, so Wednesday. A few more days left of it. There's double XP in the testing ground modes, so if now's a good time to play that mode just to level up your characters and also test out the new Conqueror and Shaolin. And I think we'll start with Shaolin because Nutella is doing the camera work and is the character who hasn't had any testing grounds before and has been in dire need of some reworking for quite some time. So I guess we'll start off with the basics. What's happened? What's changed with him? First off, his top light is enhanced now. So as you can see, you can go into key stance immediately after having a top light blocked. So from neutral, this is his main improved opener. I mean, that's it. Which is, it's all right. It's better than before, but it is a little bit, yeah. I say opener in kind of, yeah, in brackets, brackets and quotation marks, because it's not going to be the strongest opener. I mean, you can mix people up throwing heavy or light, but you still might get parried. Probably not from me because my reactions are terrible, but maybe I'll just go into full block on prediction and various things. So it's not great. It doesn't give him a huge amount of offensive pressure from neutral. It's not like it's doing much damage on its own either. So it might make it harder for people to block your sides if people are sort of intentionally blocking top, or it maybe for some players, especially at the very top level, they will be able to differentiate between the lights and the heavies because the animations on them are pretty distinct. I can't speak from any kind of experience. My reactions are atrocious, but as you can see, the top heavy and the light are quite different. I mean, they have the same kind of like starts off, he twirls himself around. So maybe that helps a little bit. We'll have to ask a player like Blitz or one of these, or Anton, if they can distinguish things. But realistically, the character that has been reworked is not going to be so good that he's going to be meta relevant with these changes. So I guess that's spoiler alert for for that. So next change from neutral, he can get into key stance from his side dodge heavies, and he can also get just chain into them normally. So you can go into a heavy finisher, or you can go into a chain light, 400 ms light. So those now have much better pressure from them. They don't just stop your chain and give you. I think before, I'm not sure if they even gave his. I don't think they even gave frame advantage, to be honest.
No.
No, they were pretty bad. And now they've got good hitboxes. They always have good hitboxes. They do quite high damage for side dodge heavies. 16 damage is on the higher end. It's up there with Kensei. I don't know what the iframes are like on it. I don't think they're great at the moment.
The iframes will be adjusted.
Okay. Yeah, they might be adjusted.
But right now with testing, it doesn't have true iframes, if you know what that means.
Yeah, so he just you dodge attacks that are that like if I throw a top heavy, for example, you'll just avoid it.
Yeah.
But if I throw a side heavy, yeah, you're gonna get hit by it. Oh, sorry. If you dodge into it, you're more likely to avoid it because the way dodges work. But if you dodge towards
Also
it,
depends on how early you dodge. You know?
yeah. Yeah, if you dodge away from it, it's likely to catch you, I think. So it's not certainly not the strongest team fighting tool, but you know it's better than it was before, at least, which is an improvement. Next thing we'll stick with neutral. His zone has changed. The first hit is faster, and the 3 hits afterwards are slower but do more damage, and can be target swapped.
500, 800, 900 MS.
Yeah, so they
600,
kind of like
500, 400? I think
it was something along those lines. It was the second. I think it might have been 500, 500, 600, 500, 500, but the hits under the second one. It used to be that if you got hit by the second hit, the third hit was guaranteed, and now that's not the case.
And if you block the first hit, you can dodge the second one.
Yeah, so now I think if you get hit by the first one, you can dodge the subsequent ones. Well, I can fail to full block them because I'm hilarious. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one because it looks like it ought to have a good hitbox, but
With hitbox testing, the first and second swing have the exact same hitbox, and the third has a decent hitbox, but it's also still hitting the same side. So
yeah, so in my experience, trying to use this to clear minions, it was bad. The second hit of it just like would push you back weirdly. So you basically only hit one minion with the second one. I remember doing it the first time, being like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me!" Because
this character and Nabushi have the same sort of clear, where you turn your back to minions and you dodge attack. That's how you should clear with any character like this.
Although, yeah, so I guess we'll get to that bit next, which is now from key stance, you can dodge out of key stance, which means in theory you can dodge and then dodge attack and then dodge attack again, but the input for it is pretty tricky, and there's quite a big delay, as you can see, because you basically have to dodge and then let go of heavy and then press heavy again before the delay window, the input window of the side dodge heavies starts. And if you let heavy go beforehand, you'll do the key stance heavies, which are undodgeable now, and also undodgeable from the top as well, as you've seen beforehand. I haven't been hit by an unblockable yet. So the input, yeah, there is no now. He now no longer has any unblockables, unblockable heavies in his kit at all. Not directly from key stance or from after the kick. If you just kick and then heavy, you do nothing. Oh, she went into the neutral heavy. That was really weird. When I've done it before, it's just
you don't go into the undodgeable either. You can't chain at all.
Yeah, he just does a thing. Yeah, when I tried to use the top unblockable after the kick on a bot, because that's what occasionally works on bots, and I just stood there like a lemon, and then the bot GB'd me and threw me off a ledge. So I got finessed. But that's how it be.
It has been adjusted, so everything inside of it is the same. So you saw the heavies, they're all the same speed, 800, and the lights are all 500.
Yep, although of note, despite them being 500, they have significantly hidden indicators. So these are going to be like Nabushi stance lights, and they do 17 damage. So that's quite a lot of damage, really, and they're enhanced. So, and they still do the correct encounters, so I guess if you want to go into key stance, I throw you a top heavy. Does 22 damage, which is pretty decent. And Natal has just now demonstrated the last new thing that he has, which is after any key stance attack, Shaolin can now do his sweep move, which is an 800 millisecond bash, which is feintable. So if I dodge it early, it's gonna track my dodge. Oh, I just dodged it late because I'm just...
Good examples here only.
Yeah, I'm doing...
I think from block stun, you might not be able to actually dodge it early.
Yeah, I'll try off a kick into light in that case, and I'll just... Oh, I rolled because I pressed it. I dodged key too hard. There we go. So that catches early dodges, and it also guarantees a special heavy follow-up if you land it. So, hello, Noodles. And that heavy follow-up goes back into key stance again, or you can chain it. So it's an opener. Noodles, come on.
It
Sorry,
plays like a dash forward heavy.
Yeah, I think it has the same animation, doesn't it?
It is the same animation, yeah. I think it might do more damage, or it might literally do the same thing.
Full dodge heavy?
No, both
No,
are
it's the
24.
same 24. It does have a weird bug at the moment where if you press GB...
Only after the kick light version.
Oh, okay.
If you GB me here,
We bounce off.
happens,
But you can still do a forward dodge light and it'll catch.
You can do a light and you can do a forward dodge heavy. The light will be safe, always forward dodge heavy will be susceptible to GB if you don't chain.
Fair enough. Good stuff. So you get lighted out of his top undodgeable out of key stance all the time. Well, actually, let's try. You try off a light block stun, and I will try and light you out of your undodgeable.
Oh, wait, hold on, sorry. Off with them.
Yeah.
This is because it went from 800 ms, from 600 ms, his undodgeables, to 800 ms.
Yeah. And they also, you have a significantly longer chain delay because you have the regular 200 millisecond delay and then another 200 milliseconds of entering key stance. Yep. So overall, the mix-up is not the strongest because you can also guard break the kick after. That's a very easy guard break, and it has bad tracking as well. If I just walk backwards now, I'm safe from the kick. I can just block his... The lights go a really long way, actually, but they always have had quite good range. And of course, well, yeah, it's a heavy attack, so you can parry it. You can feint it. What was the other thing I was going to say about...
It's penetrate heavies.
I guess we can show that the... Are they
They are from 600 ms to 800, just like the undodgeable.
Okay, they do look slower to me, yeah. I mean, I haven't frame checked them myself, but...
I have frame checked.
Alright, fair enough. Okay, so that's an undocumented thing. They are slower. Which is a bit weird, but that probably actually means he doesn't have the same out-of-lock punishes as he used to.
Yep, he does not.
Yeah, if you used to be able to land 2 heavies off an out-of-lock punish, which I guess now you can't.
Yep, I'm not able to do 2 heavies.
Yeah, so you can demonstrate that now if you want to do a forward dodge heavy into... Yeah, so that were no longer. He used to have... That used to give him actually pretty good chase, and I guess now that is reduced, less... He's less good. So yeah, the standardizations to some of his moves have actually kind of nerfed a bunch of them. Like, I don't know why they made the side undodgeables slower.
I honestly would have preferred that he did 700 ms rather than 800, like all of these moves. Because these also look really bad.
I mean, they look fine to me, but I can't.
And
whatever.
they also have very poor tracking. Like, here. This is me holding W. You can stand still.
Okay.
That's me holding W. They have incredibly piss poor tracking.
Weird.
That won't probably hit you, yeah. But, yeah, this move is a bit bad right now in terms of tracking. People can literally backwalk you if you target swap into them. I finish heavy.
Yeah, target swapping is not great for them.
Yeah, so the finisher heavy is a bit of a non-option, and finisher lights have never really been something you should ever do with Shaolin, because hold light and go into a way better mix-up than another light.
Yeah, there's no real reason to do a finisher light unless
like, you have finisher light to target swap, I guess.
Yeah, or if you think someone's going to go for a light interrupt on, I don't think you can interrupt the kick after a light hit stun.
No, but at that point, I could even just crush and counter if I was.
Yeah, I mean, crushing countering is still always still tricky. You don't have the same guard switch delay as you would, but it's still going to be a tricky thing to do. I mean,
it's just
satisfying
something
when you do land
Shaolin
it.
players need to get used to, and people who are seasoned Shaolin players like Mac or Disc and such are used to doing it. So it's not that much of a fault. It's just
Yeah.
a quirk of the character because it's still an offensive stance. Even get the nice offensive glow on your weapon.
Although you can now dodge out of it, so you know that makes it a lot better. And you can deflect out of it as well if you wanted to. If I was top heavy, you can.
Shaolin still has that one quirk about him where you can't press dash forward heavy because if heavy comes out earlier than the deflect.
Yeah, he has the delay. If I did a side one, but then it's going to be a.
And I missed.
There we go. And deflect still does more damage than his side dodge attacks, and is hyper armored. But
And has a hitbox. Wow.
does it have a nice hitbox? Oh, okay.
It has a nice hitbox, but it's only to one side. I forgot which one. Me, Mac, and Free steps it out and hit. Despite the attack changing animation when you use a left deflect or a right deflect, it will always have a hitbox on one side. Forgot which side it was there.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Strange.
And it is the only sweeping deflect in the game. The rest are all stabs.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. You're never gonna. It's quite a unique move, really.
I mean,
Used to be
Shaolin's
the
a unique
only.
character.
Yeah. Is it still the only deflect that can execute? Other than, I guess, berserkers.
I believe
I
so.
think so. Yeah. Go on. You can demonstrate that if you want to.
All right.
I'll do a top light and then I'll throw you a side heavy and you can execute me.
On.
What? Oh yeah, of course.
Oh wait, you want me
For some
to do
reason,
it
I was
from
thinking, yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
I was thinking out key sense, but you know that's fine. So even though it's lower damage than most deflects, you can, get executions out of it. It also you can still use the crushing counter lights to spray to counter some chain hyper armor if heavies if they're very slow, but it's kind of hard to do that. I don't know if you could deflect and now dodge out of key stance to avoid some subsequent heavies. Like, I feel like it's probably quite clunky, but
it'd probably be clunky because you have to wait for the entrance, which is maybe something they could adjust. And have you dodge out earlier.
Yeah. Or yeah, that would be cool. I mean, entering key stance has always been somewhat of a clunky thing. You know, it has this extra 200 milliseconds animation. I mean, I guess they maybe they need that, but that is one of the character's downfalls and weaknesses. That's something else that is worth mentioning. So because he can change into this sweep after any key stance move. If I dodge your light, I can't get a GB on you anymore. So if you do a key stance light, oh god, you have to give me a warning because I'm not able to do it on reaction.
All right, I'll be throwing it now.
Oh, ha!
Yeah, Conqueror.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, you have to lay that. I'll throw a light now. Yeah.
You just go straight into it. Just go straight into it and throw it immediately, and I'll be able to. Oh yeah, I'll then offer light block stun. So you can
actually float there.
Oh really? Okay. Maybe fine. Again, oh my goodness. There we go. So you can somewhat protect yourself from GB, and that attack goes straight back into. You can go straight back into key stance off that. So it's not an infinite mix-up. You can't like key stance into key stance into key stance and so on, but you do get your sweep mix-up, which is pretty decent, I would say. Like I don't know if the do you want to try off if you can catch my dodge attack after, let's say, the heavy block stun off. Let's say I block an undodgeable key stance attack, and then I'll side dodge. And you feint a GB and see if you can catch me off that.
Feint is really early here.
Okay, so I'm clean up. All right, might be different off hit stun, but actually no, it shouldn't be different off hit stun. Because it's a medium hit stun. So all right, fair enough. The GB won't catch dodge attacks in that case, but yeah, I guess you can.
I mean, you are dodge attacking, you're undodgeable.
Well, no, I mean after being hit by the key stance attack, the feint to GB from the bash from the sweep won't catch dodge attacks by.
Yeah, but you can also just dodge attack, dodge attack, etc.
Yeah, that's true. One last thing with the sweep that we can't really demonstrate now is that it does not actually we can we demonstrate now if I pop, oh no it's not training arena, can't do range, no worries. Is that the sweep, it doesn't act as a bash, it is kind of, instead of a bash, it's weird to describe it. I guess it's a non-directional unblockable attack that doesn't do any damage. So it works like a regular attack would, in that it can be automatic, it can be parried, so it can be auto parried by revenge activation, or if I parried a different attack from somebody else, then the sweep will get parried. And it also can be hyper armored through, which is really strange. Again, I can't demonstrate that now. Well, whatever. You just take my word for it. But you can't really confirm it with the same kind of things as you would be able to confirm any other kind of bash. So that's pretty weird, and I'm sure that will eventually be fixed before it's released. So shall we talk a little bit more? We'll talk a little more about Shaolin. We'll talk about like what he still needs and what the problems are at the moment. And then we go on to Conk. Okay, so first up, from neutral, he is not great. He has a single directional enhanced 1200 light, and that is it. Let's put it this way: if that was all that was required to be a viable opener, then Yorm would have viable opener. I think I need to say
Or
more than
LB.
that. And LB. Well, LB doesn't have any pressure after his light. At least Yorm hasn't unblockable after the enhanced light, and Yorm is still not considered a viable character with a strong opener by any means. So yeah, that's from neutral. He's pretty weak, and in team fights, his external pressure has actually kind of gone down because he doesn't have any unblockable heavies anymore. You can always kind of, depending on the character, you can always side dodge away from him and block in that direction, like for Raider, for example, and you'll avoid both the kick and the undodgeable. And
So
because
at the same time, I do need to add, his unblockable and kick were also dodgeable on a single timing in live. So it only does change the fact if people are trying to exclusively react to the unblockable and didn't know about that timing.
yeah, we did talk about the zone, Shep Dude. It said that basically the subsequent hits are slow, don't do much damage, and have weird hitboxes that don't look nearly as big as they ought to do. Considering he's swinging around a 2-meter long pole all the way around him, you'd think if you were directly behind him, you get hit, but you don't. So it's strange. I mean, you could show that if you wanted to by standing with your back to a wall or in one of the corners. Your zone won't bounce off.
Much forward movement.
Yeah, but even, I mean, you can face the wall if you want. Oh, that's going to mess up, but yeah. Maybe sideways on the wall. Like facing along the wall and trying that way. Well, actually, that's not a great demonstration because weapons go over this fence and they do hit the statues. So, anyway, it's got a bit of a weird zone, weird tracking, and it has a sort of weird interaction with minions. Yeah. So, really, so another thing is that the sweep mix-up, I mean, it can't knock down your allies anymore, which is nice, but any mix-up which involves feint to GB in team fights and has like a slow punish afterwards is very liable to be interrupted. So the sweep is kind of not a fantastic team fighting move. It's like, I guess you'd say it's the same kind of nice one, White Member. Yeah, you got me for a moment. It's not great. I mean, it is an unreactable mix-up in ones, and it's just in team fights because it's kind of slow, and that's the only thing you can do after a key stance attack. It's a bit a bit underwhelming. I found myself getting interrupted out of it a lot. If he had hyper armor off on the full op attack, that'd be all right. Or if he could chain from his key stance attacks into chain attacks, or maybe even just into the openers with frame advantage, like quickly, then that might be something else. But it does feel a little bit restricted there. We also saw how difficult it is to dodge out of key stance and do dodge attacks at the same time. It's a bit of a pain, especially sideways. Forwards is all right, but sides is... Natella is just proving that he's amazing at the character and just in general great. But if you were watching me do it, I'd mess it up. Like,
it is a bit of a difference with keyboard and mouse and controller, though.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. And maybe my controls aren't great for it, but I find it's a weird that you have to let go, dodge and then let go and then repress it. I guess if you're using a trigger, which is quite a big motion for pressing a heavy, it's there you go. You messed it up once, which means that your average gamer will mess it up many times. Until it's just that good. And yeah, his feats are still a bit weird. The tier 1 can still be placed in spawn and tag people forever.
Yeah.
And the tier 3 is still kind of insanely powerful, especially against any bleed characters, because it cleanses all of cleanses all damage over time. So his feats are a bit weird, but they don't seem to be able to change feats in testing grounds. So we don't know if that when the character comes out, when the rework comes out, if they'll
tier 4 options are very whelming.
They're highly whelming. I'm extremely whelmed by them. The teleport is kind of all right, but it's mostly relevant for rotations, which they're less important at the end game anyway. So it's not, I think that the tier 4 will be all right if it was on a 60-second cooldown or something, or maybe even they swap the tier 3 and tier 4 around. Scout is just meh. It has a really short duration and a really short actual value.
The buff itself is 15% more damage.
15%, and it's 15 seconds. So I don't know why this is the case. They nerfed the strength of the debuff and the duration at the same time, and then made it useless when it used to be overpowered because it was like 30% and 45 seconds. And instead of leaving it at 15% and 45 seconds or 15% and 30 seconds, they just like killed the duration and made it. Or yeah, so Scout's not good. And then of course Slippery is in a tier of its own in that it's worse than almost every tier 1 feat in the game, and it's a tier 4 feat. So yeah, Slippery has value in that if you take it, you're saying to your opponent's team that we're good enough, we don't even need a tier 4. So that is the
like Shaolin has options for a tier 4 though.
Yeah. But you can say that I'm taking Slippery because we can beat you without any tier 4s, because that's essentially what you're saying. All right. So next character, we'll move on to Conqueror. Here we are, the shield man himself. Well, he already had one testing ground earlier this year before Christmas, and he was a little bit overwhelming then with infinite undodgeable heavies and a very fast dodge cancel out of his full block. And those have been removed. Now his chain heavies are just same old, same old. And you can no longer dodge immediately out of the full block. You have to release it and then dodge, and there's a bit more of a delay. You can still dodge out of it quite nicely, so it's quite safe as full blocks go. It doesn't use any stamina to hold it, and it doesn't cost any stamina to block anything with it. And the full block punish itself has full block, so you can block one thing and then carry on blocking. I guess if you throw your zone and I'll block one hit and then, oh, there we go. I'll try and delay it as much as possible. There we go. So you can still full block multi hit zones. His main mix up has gone from being like bash and undodgeable heavy to in chain bash and just feint to guard break. So I guess if I throw a top heavy and then it's that, or I did it again, but And that will catch most dodge attacks as well because of how the chain link is, but you have to throw a heavy to get into that or land a light opener. Another thing that's been removed from him is he no longer, whilst he can chain a light on the same side and it's still 500 ms, he can no longer do it infinitely. That's it. Now you get 2 lights now, you have a light finisher, and you can no longer do anything else after it. So after you land
after the light finisher, I believe.
Oh, you can bash off the light finisher, that's true.
But you can't train into a heavy, so this is a free dodge always.
Yeah. Or, I mean, you can... In theory, you can delay your chain bash, so you can...
I mean, if I dodge attack that chain bash, I don't think you can do anything about it.
No,
it's a weird thing. If they wanted this mix-up to be a faint GB mix-up, they should let that chain into a heavy.
Yeah, so it's weird that light doesn't chain to heavy, and also means his mid-clear is... I mean, Conk used to be amazing for mid-clear, and now he is, like, bad. Like, he just
showed the zone off. They sped that up a little.
Oh yeah, the zone hasn't sped up. It just has less stamina cost now. It's still 600 ms, and you can still chain from it, but you chain to the finisher. So yeah, that's another thing. The bash riposte is now just a regular attack. For some reason, it's a top attack. Doesn't make a huge amount of sense to me.
Right attack, actually.
It says top in the damage log, apparently.
I think it respects your last guard position, or it's just constantly setting you to this side.
Weird. Anyway, it doesn't. It used to be in the first testing grounds. It was unblockable, which was annoying because it would defy hitstun rules. But it also was armored, which allowed you to get off more regularly in team fights. And now you can't do that. It's the regular old attack. After which you cannot do a bash. You can just go into the heavy or go into the light. You can still feint your regular heavies, which is nice, but what you can't do anymore is do a chain charged heavy, so that's gone. You can just do regular heavies afterwards, and they also have pretty terrible dodge, like pretty terrible tracking, so you can early dodge my chain heavies and that will avoid them mostly. I'm gonna light into heavy. Welcome.
Yep.
That's on the same timing as the bash, so you really have to feint that into a chain into guard breaker to catch dodges, which is not ideal for team fights for obvious reasons, because if you're in a guard break, you're slow and doing nothing. So, I mean, did they add anything to him in this? I mean, the zone cost is down 20 rather than 40, but really this testing ground was a case of removing many things that were good about him. Yeah. Oh, he's also, the range on his chain bash is now much lower than it was.
And the range on his chain heavy.
And the range on charged heavies is significantly lower. I don't know if you can just back walk them, but it's weirdly short. And they only do 28 damage and they're 32 now, which I guess is a good thing, but that was mostly an irritation when you could do them in chain and they'd go a really long way, and now they are very short range, or not very short range, but they're not good range. They haven't got good range. You'll whiff a bunch of them, and they only do 20 damage. So, yep, it is a weird one, frankly, and he still has the problem of just atrocious feats, like really bad. Shaolin's feats are something, but Conqueror has Juggernaut on his tier 2, and that's about the only one worth mentioning.
Shield Bash is good.
Shield Basher is alright, yeah. But then you're not taking Juggernaut if you take Shield Basher. Shield Basher is good, even, but Juggernaut is ridiculous. So most comp players would rate Juggernaut above Shield Basher, even if Shield Basher is giving you consistently higher damage. But you are basically only going to be Shield Bashing, so maybe that's what you want. Oh, that's another thing that's been changed. The forward dodge bash input window has changed from it was changed to start only at 200 ms, but now it's back to starting at 100 ms into the dodge. So it's going to be equally as divisive as it was for slower reacting players who can't react to the 100 ms of forward dodge, but it's still slow enough to be reactable to many players at the top end, PC, I think. Do I think Ubisoft will go somewhere in between for both versions of Conqueror? Honestly, I don't. I think they will probably go back to the drawing board or change it much more significantly, because the problems that they didn't like having the permanent, like the infinite undodgeable chain. People didn't like the another bash blue mix up, which I think is fair enough. To be honest, it was getting kind of boring. The infinite chain 500 lights were kind of pointless, so I understand why they got rid of those as well. They were just oppressive at low level and useless. Not useless, but not very useful at high levels. The problems they talked about with the chain charging chain heavies was apparently it caused like unfixable flickers, and also wasn't that useful. I mean, it was useful because it could catch people early dodging, so it used to be able to be that you could use the chain unblockable as a way to catch dodges from the dodge off in prediction of your chain bash. It wouldn't catch dodge attacks, of course, but some dodge attacks. But that's gone as well. So I don't really know what they would do with Conqueror, because if those issues, those are all fairly good reasons why they remove those things, but they haven't added back any other tools in compensation. So I'm not quite sure what they would do really. I mean, maybe they could consider making his chain bash a chargeable bash, make it so you can do a chain like a 500 ms bash, or you hold it and you do a 900 ms bash. That would work, especially if you can feint the second one. They've just shown us with Shaolin that they can do feintable bashes, although having said that, Shaolin's sweep is kind of not really a bash, so who knows. Let me just check that Payment Dojo voice text. See if there's a question there. They could do something like make his heavies after a bash riposte. They can make the heavies after that unblockable, for example. Oh man, I'm not doing it very well, am I? So if they made those heavies afterwards unblockable, that would give him some chain pressure, but wouldn't be infinite unblockables. So obviously they want to avoid infinite unblockables, I'd imagine. Would having the zone infinite be the full guard only after the first swing be a good change? Well, the first swing of the zone currently is kind of meh. It's a slow 600 ms. Doesn't have the best hitbox. I mean, you can cancel it into full block, which is nice. And on that topic, his defense, whilst they've removed a bunch of the things that were very powerful for defense, like the zone having almost instant full block, and his heavies having superior block during the startup, because he can now cancel the recovery of all his attacks into full block, he is actually a little bit safer from his bash, which is kind of somewhat ironic. I can, if Nutella baits me into doing a dodge bash and then dodge attacks my dodge bash, I can go into full block again. I mean, if you're fast enough, then it's that still doesn't execute. That's a bit annoying. And it is also not undodgeable. So you can after certain if they're externally superior blocked, for example, like someone that has externally enhanced attacks, like Pirate, for example, or not Black Prior. Well, most characters have externally enhanced attacks.
All zone attacks.
All zone and all zone attacks, because they all you can. I don't think you can feint yours fast enough, but oh, there we go. There we go. You can. There we go. So that the old riposte used to be dodgeable, so undodgeable, so that would always catch things, and now it can't, which it's not great. So before he was used we did a testing round tournament with a conquest format where people could pick had to pick multiple characters, and people were playing Conqueror because he was a very strong team fighter with very, very strong defense and a very good range on his blockables and chain bash, and basically those two biggest strengths that he had, and the unblockable in is that a riposte parable? I mean, it can be revenge parried, so I guess it is parryable. I don't know. Do you want to try feinting and parrying that? Oh, there we go. Yes, it is. I mean, if you do it fast enough on this zone, you're not going to be able to, but that's because the second hit is quite slow. What do I think Kong's identity should be going forward? Well, personally, I think it's fine for him to still be quite a defensive team fighter. I would prefer him to have kept the charging heavies in chain because I thought that was cool.
I think the charging heavy aspect is really cool and what they should focus on, and not bashing. I think people are tired about bash and blue as mix-ups, and the fact that they went back on a 100 ms dodge into 500 ms bash is also kind of quite telling that even the team aren't confident in the character right now.
Yeah.
They just kind of band-aid slapped that on and said, okay, let's hope the community don't mind.
Yeah, which I think is a mistake as well. I mean, he hasn't got any chase still. Like, Nutella can just walk away from me, and there's really very little I can do. Like, he has no roll catcher. Even if I run after him, you can avoid that very easily.
Oh yeah, duels. And the duels game
even
has
with that, you're gonna be. Oh, okay, that's stamina, and obviously that doesn't confirm any damage from me. So, you know, maybe if his running bash at least confirmed a light attack or something, and ideally you would have a forward dodge heavy. I think maybe something they could do is make it so that if you dodge, you can go straight into the charging stance. That'd be kind of cool. And then it would be a way of giving him a forward dodge move that is, I mean, well, if the unblockable had goodish range again, then that would actually be something else. But, like, oh wow, that is bad. Look at that.
It's a medium range attack. Like,
it's not terrible, but it's not good.
I mean, it just exacerbates Conqueror's issue. It's he can fight someone who wants to fight him, but if the person doesn't want to, you are not fighting.
Yeah, he has no roll catcher. And previously you couldn't roll away from him in the first TG because he had undodgeable heavies, so obviously you're not going to be rolling away from those. But now he doesn't have that. He has no real way to keep somebody in a fight with him, which is not great. And it means that as a team character in the high-level compositions, he's never going to be viable, really, because if you're ever in controlling opponents' rotations is super important, and it's one of Black Prior's biggest weaknesses that you can very easily run away from Black Prior, because you can't force someone to fight in an unfavorable position, which Conqueror can't do either. They will just go and take themselves somewhere else, and there's nothing you can do about it. So,
also, unlike Black Prior, Conqueror doesn't have good feats as well, which is a big caveat in being a viable hero.
Yeah, and the flip is a very strong defensive move in team fights, in a way that this full block isn't, because of how easy it is for people to avoid it with zones or with external whatchamacallums,
External enhanced lights.
Yeah, external enhanced lights. Like so against, what is it? Like 3 of the main characters in the meta right now, his full block is kind of useless, which is sad. Anybody who's got dodge cancel after it and externally, so Pirate, Janhu, I guess Shinobi with the backflip on the zone, off his own. The Kong's full block is useless against him in team fights, which is bad because that's should be his main tool, or his main way to make you respect the space. So yeah, unfortunately, this has been a bit of a miss in terms of characters and testing grounds. So we'll see how things go. I mean, maybe this gives them freedom to try some more things. But I think Shaolin is almost at a point where he's good. They need to tweak these kind of irritations and give him some neutral pressure. So I would say make the forward dodge heavy from him unblockable.
Yeah, because you can just dodge out of Ki as well. So that's an unblockable from Chi, and that's an unblockable from
neutral. And it works with Pirates, so
Yeah.
I don't know what is his the GB vulnerability on it. Should we try? If you do, I'll do a counter. You counter GB and then do a forward dodge heavy afterwards. There we go. Okay, so it's got low GB vulnerability, so it would work as an opener in the same way as Pirates does. It'd be less strong because that doesn't have the hyper armor, but it does more damage. So swings and roundabouts. I think that would be good enough to make him a viable,
Yeah, that combined
decent...
with just the quality of life of being able
Yeah.
to dodge out of chi faster, and
And
potentially having these heavies revert to 700 rather than 800. Because
yeah, I
they were
think
600, and now they get screwed over by light Blockstone, and then his finisher heavies. Something needs to be done about these because they have no range and they're 800 MS.
and they're kind of pointless too. I mean, like,
Yeah, they are pointless. So,
I mean, what do you make them unblockable or something?
I mean, I don't think they
Like
need to be made
even?
unblockable. I just think they need, like, if you're gonna throw them out, have a hitbox or range or something. Here they have nothing. They are a dead weight move that only works if someone's in your face.
Yeah, I mean, like when the way they were as a strong as was 600 MS and was useful because they were good for outlock punishes and fast enough to be you could throw them and feint them and it would being fast is a good quality essentially, but now they are standard and have no qualities, so there's just no reason to use them.
With regards to the zone, they shouldn't revert those changes because the dev team themselves do not want the case of blocking the first hit makes the second undodgeable and getting hit by the second makes the third unblockable. They don't want that sort of thing. They don't want anything being confirmed in that sort of manner. And at the same time, this zone is still better because you have a 500 MS attack than a 600. And
I mean, you can't go
even in live game, Shaolin Zone, you use the first hit. The second and first hit are not things you commonly use or land.
Yeah, I mean, like in fact, you shouldn't use the second, third hit because in the live game, the recovery is so bad that it's unsafe to land the third hit quite a lot of time, which is ridiculous. So at least the recovery on this is better. I can't dodge and get a guard break after the second.
Yeah, and not only that, but this is a 500 MS zone, so this is still something from neutral as well. It doesn't go into cheer or anything, but it is still something that's better. 500 MS zones are just universally better than 600. It's faster.
Yeah.
And it's a very low stamina cost thing at that too.
Yeah, so that's good too as well. I mean, like it's slightly better, but it's nothing special.
It's not worse.
Tweaks, he would be decent.
That way,
and Conk has a lot more that he needs doing because
Conk needs his identity changed. I would prefer if his zone worked like Fusion.
That's what I would say as well.
Because right now it does nothing, and the character's supposed to be a defensive powerhouse. At least make him defensive. If he's not going to be able to chase you down, at least make him good at being defensive.
Yeah. I mean, his defense is currently very strong in the kind of annoying way because of the. Did we talk about like I can full block on reaction to. I mean, I'm not fast enough to do it on reaction very well, but if you're a fast player, you can full block on reaction to seeing that dodge attack. And I'm here once again failing to do it. Yeah, I'm waiting to see it and doing it too. It's going to be. It depends on the dodge attack. Like some of the ones that are more delayable, you'll miss the window. But currently, the dodge full block canceling after his bash is very strong. It's not as brokenly strong as it was in the previous one, but it was.
This is unhealthy defense.
Yeah, it's not great to be honest. I would rather the window to go into the full block was shortened so that
so this was a pure prediction thing. You'd have to practically hard buffer after and just go, I want to block.
In theory, can I like just go into full block and then dodge out of it before like on reaction rather? So if you do the
right, so what is this?
Yeah, I know I can't. That's gonna be too fast. So I can't dodge out of it. Yeah, it's defense is probably too strong at the moment.
I defense is too strong in the wrong spot as well. The bash is not what you want to reward the Conqueror for defense. I don't think, at least. That is his only offense, true, but at the same time, it's like it just promotes the playstyle of just constantly bash, 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 and doesn't give him a reason to use his lighter heavies, which,
Yeah.
again, he doesn't even have a reason to use. They don't have any extra properties. All you have is the unblockable from neutral. That's it.
So what I think I would do to the character is make his heavies after a bash riposte. So this is that move. I'd put the hyper arm back on that. I'd make the heavies after this move unblockable, and after a full block riposte, like the Scutellage collection, I'd make that also unblockable. Wow, I'm really bad. So that, oh man, I'm just holding that. So that heavy, I'd make it unblockable to give him some chain pressure, and I'd change the chain bash to be the same, but also to have, if you hold it, you do a slower bash, which would be able to catch early dodges, and give the ability of that to either feint, hard feint into, well, it's the hard feint or soft feint into the full block. And then that would be a functional chain mix-up, which won't be as reactable to the top players, where currently the bonus is. It wouldn't be. It would also it would be a bit faster to use in team fights, so you'd actually be able to use it in team fights a little bit more easily. I would change the window to go into the full block after things to be slower. I'd let him zone out of full block again, because currently you're just sitting it doing nothing. And I'd make the zone a 700 ms light attack, which has full block in all directions like Fujin Force, to be a unique defensive tool, essentially. As Pikeman mentioned in Discord, Hyper Arm on a sweep pull-up be a good change. Yes, that would be a good change. I mean, really, they could do it like if they wanted to make it exactly the same as Pirates. The forward dodge heavy is the same thing as the sweep pull up. You might as well make it unblockable with late hyper armor, and it'll be the same as Pirate. So that'd be good. And I think that's really all all I've got to say about the PG changes. Anything
Just
else?
to add one thing about TG changes, do always remember to put your stuff in the surveys, and also do remember to post stuff on Reddit. The dev team do look at that sort of stuff. They are looking for feedback. Obviously, this is actually a test, and yeah, don't be happy with reworks if they're substandard, etc. And things like Conqueror, you can even see the dev team don't believe in the character. They gave him a 100 ms into 500 bash again. So yeah, you
Yeah.
should you should really be taking notes of what the dev team are doing in that sort of regard. So
Yeah. I
Conqueror
mean,
is
I think
definitely a trickier character to rework,
very
and
much so.
yeah,
I think they'll probably have the biggest problems with Conqueror and Jormungandr. Um,
yeah,
and we said Shinobi, but they really knocked it out of the park with Shinobi, I think. So
yeah. But Shinobi had a lot to pull from, like double dodge and all that.
yeah, he had crazy
This,
wide
like,
big moves.
Conqueror doesn't really have an identity besides being a bashing character, which has been done to death. And
Yeah,
same with Yorm. Their identity is lots of bashes for one big payoff, and that's not a really viable thing you can do in a 4v4 game
difficult
mode.
one. It's
Without,
difficult one.
yeah, without, like, rewarding the Yorm for bullying someone else and then letting you use, like, a big move on someone else. It's a weird thing. And a stamina bully just doesn't work, obviously.
Yeah. So well, Yorm is a whole subject unto himself,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yorm is a topic. Alright.
Yeah. But let's move on, shall we, to looking at the Dominion changes, and shall we now, what we'll do is we'll spectate. Normie is currently scrimming, I think, so we can
Yeah, I'm not in match
watch
right now.
spectate some scrims with Minimeisters. And we can talk a little about what the changes to Dominion have been and how they are potentially affecting the high level game. So will you be able to stream on Discord as well so I can watch your thing?
Yeah, but I don't believe they're in a game right now. I'm not even sure
Okay.
if they are playing still.
Well, Clutch is still streaming for on. I can go and check that. If these, then he'll be. They could be scrimming. Yeah, they're scrimming Vane's team by the looks of things.
Spectate mode might be off then. I cannot spectate them.
Oh, that's a bit annoying.
Yeah.
They had to literally choose to do that. Shame.
Yeah. Unlucky. Anyways,
Okay, well, I guess we can just talk about Dominion if you want. Do you want to? Is there anybody on? I can spectate anybody you want to who's in your friends list who might be playing Dominion, and we can just talk about it. Have something in the background also talking. I mean, it's not ideal, but I was hoping we'd be able to spectate normally, but
that's fine. Anyways,
it's fine. It's how it is. All right. So, quick overview of the changes to Dominion, which came out at the beginning of the season when crossplay was enabled as well. Renown is standardized. All character classes gain renown at the same rates. A lot of the complicated renown bonuses have been removed, including defender renown. And mid
Ace.
lane is more important.
Ace has also been removed. The bonus for killing the entire enemy team.
What was it?
Ace, yes.
Ace, yes. So, well, I mean, a whole bunch of
Yeah,
bonuses.
the two main ones, like the two important ones, are Ace and
Yeah.
the vendor.
So those are the two meta important
Yeah.
bonuses.
Those are the
but
ones that punish teams for playing sloppily by sending people onto a point they didn't own and for being team wiped.
yeah,
Those have been removed now, which promotes players constantly going fallback caps, promotes players for fighting on points, and promotes mid because all these points are being contested constantly.
yeah. So yeah.
So the
I mean,
gameplay has shifted slightly from being you only push the enemy home points when you are confident and the enemy are at a deficit of players at the moment, and you clear mid obviously when you want to, and you don't get your feats anymore from defender renown, obviously.
yeah. But there is still a difference in renown gain from defending a point versus contesting a point. So
Yeah, it's slightly more renown. It's 6 more renown per minute, I believe.
yeah. So it's not a giant impact, but if you're stalling on a point the entire time, then it's going to be a slight renown benefit to the team who's defending. Overall, I don't think it's going to dramatically affect the meta in terms of making characters more powerful than they were. The capture speed changes, which had been quite disliked by the comp community, where it was all the same and it was very, very hard to capture a point because there was always like a 5 second delay to capture points. That hasn't gone through. So you can point capture speed is the same as it always has been, which means that if you commit a lot of players to a point and you win your team fight, there you will capture the point, which is something that didn't happen in the first couple of rounds of testing. Now, as we've just seen here, this team has managed to capture point C with 2 players, even though they only had them in there for a few seconds.
And that
And that's
Conqueror
probably
player over
good.
there just died on point, but didn't feed extra renown for it to the
Yeah.
2 players that killed him, which promotes sloppier play and helps in MM. One player can't really take down an entire team by being bad, by feeding the enemy team a feat advantage. And in competitive, it means that you can constantly bum rush the enemy team's point and contest it.
Yeah,
Which
I
then
mean,
obviously gives mid importance as it's constantly contested on side
yeah.
points.
So now a lot of the ways that we will see teams force their opponents into doing something different will be by changing how they attack the rest of the map. So
Yeah.
if you're constantly winning on your home point, but they're sort of the enemy are trickling in, and you're not getting hard points from it, you probably don't want to come and defend and reinforce that. It's probably better to let that fight drag out, maybe unfavorably, if you can then take other points in the rest of the map. Which I don't know. We'll see how if it makes characters that are more
1v1
brawling,
orientated.
defense orientated characters better. Maybe mid characters might be slightly better as well.
Yeah, mid characters will definitely now shine better considering that mid is something you want to clear. But at the same time, most meta characters already can do mid.
Yeah, it's true.
Because
We'll
meta
see how
characters
it,
usually have big hitboxes.
yeah. I mean, currently I'm sorry, prior to this, the meta was very, very much almost entirely based around team fighters, and ganking was somewhat important, but team fighting was considerably more important. And I think team fighting still will remain very important, but it might be very slightly less important than um, than it was prior to this patch. And now maybe things like characters with very fast rotation speeds that can grab enemy points when they are all trying to trickle into one point and stall there might be better. Which
Yeah.
and obviously assassins are going to be less penalized with their renown because
Yeah.
everybody's getting renown at the same rate.
And heavies don't get more renown on average, and vanguards don't get better defensive renown.
Yeah.
Just,
So that should open up the meta in terms of characters that are viable a
Yep.
little bit, maybe.
You can do everything with every character. It's just a matter of how good your character actually is at those jobs. There is
Right.
no arbitrary limit to, I know, like if you're an assassin with big hitboxes, you're not allowed to claim it because for you.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be that Orochi actually has pretty decent mid clear now because he can cancel his dodge lights into another dodge light and just carry on doing that. But previously, you get half the amount of renown per dodge light as you would per minion kill as you would before. That's not good ganking here from Roko and the pirate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good paying good attention to not spam attacks and landing bleed, not feed revenge. So yeah, but if you're gladiator, you're still gonna never want to go to mid because your mid clear is abysmal. But you won't be penalized as a Rochi going to mid if you can actually clear, or Shinobi, who also has pretty fast mid clear as well nowadays, with his zone. So yeah, I mean the meta is going to be more open. I would want to say more, but I haven't really seen enough scrims or tournament games yet to say with confidence. And so I was hoping no one would be able to join us or be able to watch some of their scrims, but shame we haven't got to this time. Maybe another time, which is absolutely fine. There will be more dojos in the future. If you have topics that you'd like us to bring up or talk about in future dojos, please let me on a tell or one of the other members of staff know, and we will do our best to come up with something that can cover those. Yeah, that's probably about it for now. We haven't got anything on the horizon in terms of um, tournaments just as yet. We're waiting. We're kind of waiting for stage 2 of the crossplay because at the moment you can crossplay is only in matchmaking and you can't create groups between consoles. But as soon as between platforms, but as soon as we have phase 2 match of crossplay and we can have groups, you can group up cross platforms. We will run a cross platform tournament. So that'll be fun. Be on the lookout for that when that happens. We don't know when it is, but we will let you know when it does. And we'll do another Dominion. We'll do another dojo soon, maybe in a few weeks' time, once the meta has had a chance to evolve a little bit more um, with the new Dominion. And I think that's it really from me today. Short dojo today, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Nutella, for joining and doing the streaming. Very much massively appreciated.
Pleasure.
And obviously giving your great insights as well. Oh, one more thing. Next weekend, I will be joining Barak and Freeze and Setmix on a podcast on Barak's channel we're going to be talking about what makes character good at team fighting. So we're going to be talking about the theory of team fighting. We will ping in dojo for it as well, and we might even restream it here as well, so you can check out on his channel. But we'll recommend you go and see Barak's channel. But that's something to tune into next week, and it should be good. So yeah, have fun, have a good evening, and thank you much for joining us. Bye.